Ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to today's edition of our 7 p.m. newscast on Info Television. Our headlines. Mr. Theophile Fotsing and Law Adjan have lost 2 of their sons in confusing circumstances at the Ekie neighborhood in Yaoundé. The boys gave up the ghost in a space of 2 hours after returning from school yesterday, October 20. And heavy rains could cut down bean production this year as weather experts warned. We shall be looking at this in this newscast as our reporters verify the availability of this sample food source in the market. Those were our top stories. Details right ahead. Welcome back. And a young couple residing in the Ekie neighborhood in Yaoundé has lost 2 kids in mysterious circumstances. They died after returning from school on October 20, 2025, leaving their parents and neighbors in complete shock. The circumstances leading to their demise are highlighted in the following reports.
7-year-old Christ Archange and 5-year-old Steve Miguel have lost their lives in very puzzling circumstances in the Ekie neighborhood, Yaoundé 4 municipality. These class 1 and 2 pupils returned from school on Monday, October 20, and decided to take a nap. Few minutes after, foam began to ooze from the older son's mouth and nostrils. According to their mother, she noticed an unusual fatigue in them and sought remedy. When the kids came back from school at 12:45 p.m. as usual, my younger son told me, "Mom, my stomach was aching while I was in school." He also said a birthday was celebrated in my class today. I also noticed that they didn't go and play after school as usual. They also refused to eat. So I got some drugs for the stomach ache. After rushing Chris to the hospital and him being declared dead, the couple is alerted that their second son, Steve, is portraying the same symptoms. After the passing of my first child, we came back home and the other child was lying down on the veranda, and a few minutes later, he started crying and throwing up. Foam came out of his mouth mixed with blood. We quickly rushed him to the hospital where he was placed on oxygen and later declared dead. Chris and Steve can no longer go to school, neither can they play with their friends. This untimely death, as their parents call it, is a painful pill for them to swallow. However, the events leading to their demise are still unclear.
And may the souls of those kids rest in peace. Some parents now choose to openly discuss sexuality with their children, though the approach still seems sensitive to others. As the international community observed the International Day of the Young Girl earlier this October, Mimi Tiobo met with some parents in the city of Yaoundé and sought to know how families approach this.
Addressing certain topics, particularly sexuality within the family, remains a taboo subject for many parents and household heads when met outside of cameras. However, in several neighborhoods of Yaoundé, some women are breaking the silence and advocating for permanent dialogue with their children from a young age.
Le dialogue est fluide.
So, dialogue is fluid. I can say that we don't hide anything, and my children are aware. When there is an issue, either the child approaches me or I do as a parent. I want to tell young girls and mothers that it's essential to have open conversation with their children to avoid certain things like unwanted pregnancies and bad company. Karine, a mother of 2 teenage daughters, aged 15 and 17, claims to regularly have discussions with her girls about love and relationship to help them make the right choices in the future.
Enfant de 2 filles.
I have 2 children, 15 and 17 years. Every time my guest comes to me, we discuss everything, especially that of 17 years. I always tell her that outside is bad. She should not be scared. And I tell her always that a man and a woman need to live together. She is 17 years. I give advice always to her. We talk about everything. Parents like her encourage other families to open up more and not get discouraged by certain behaviors from children who may seem detached.
And on to something else, weather experts warn of heavy rains that could cut down bean production this year. And upon getting the information, patient Shintum visited the Mfundi market to check the availability of beans, where traders say there is no cause for alarm, at least for now. Her reports.
At the busy Mfundi market, beans are still in abundance. Traders say supply is steady and prices are friendly, despite forecasts of smaller harvest next season. There's enough beans in the market, and the prices didn't rise like previous years. Because of this, those who usually stock bags of beans to create artificial scarcity and impose high prices at the end got disappointed this year, because instead of price hikes, there was rather a drop. This year, beans production was really high as compared to last year. The prices are really favorable in the market. Experts at the Department of National Meteorology predict heavier than usual rains across the center, south, and east regions. Conditions that may affect crops like beans, which don't thrive in excessive moisture. However, traders at the Mfundi market are already bracing up for the days ahead. When it rains heavily, it destroys bean leaves, causing poor harvest. That's why recently I saw a communique from the National Meteorology Board warning farmers and business people that beans may face production challenges in the days ahead because of heavy rains. But while the rains threaten yields in the fields, the impact is yet to reach the market as prices are still favorable. This bucket is 3,000 francs. For the black beans, the small red grains, also known as merengue, is sold at 3,800 francs. And this other one called Senegalese costs 3,500. This one is called Mac and it sells at 3,800 francs. Our team tried to reach the expert in charge of agriculture and meteorology for details, but was unable to get a comment. For now, Mfundi market remains well stocked, but if the rains persist, consumers may soon begin to feel the pinch.
In education, schools in the southwest region are finally gaining momentum after a slow start of the 2025-2026 school year. The late resumption comes after weeks of lockdown imposed by the separatist fighters, as you tell us in this report, Agnes Ayuk.
The over 8-year-old crisis has left deep psychological and physical effects on learners, educators, and the general education system. However, despite these challenges, schools across the southwest region are now reporting improved attendance and a renewed sense of normalcy. Teachers, parents, and education authorities have been working closely to ensure that students recover lost ground and stay on track with the national academic calendar. In line with the new academic momentum, the region also marked the 23rd edition of the National Day of Guidance and Counseling, held under the theme Guidance and Counseling and its contributions to promoting quality inclusive education in secondary schools. The event emphasized the role of psychosocial support, inclusive practices, and targeted counseling in rebuilding confidence among students affected by years of conflict. The commemoration was held at the Government Bilingual Technical High School in Limbe, and it brought together students, educators, and stakeholders from across the region. In his launching speech, the regional delegate of secondary education, Dr. Nje Martin Esongo, noted that the government has taken significant steps to promote inclusive education, but acknowledged that students with special needs still face discrimination, urged guidance and counseling experts in the region to use their expertise to reduce incidents of discrimination in schools.
Educational stakeholders, most especially guidance counselors, have a big role to play. We know that in schools you have orphans, autistic children, children who are refugees, internally displaced, and they suffer from a lot of stigma, either from their peers, sometimes from their teachers, and in the community. So we need guidance counselors who are experts in this domain to build them up psychosocially so that they can withstand the stress in the classroom.
The commemoration was marked with academic discussions, playback, and sketches, highlighting the need for quality inclusive education in schools. Participants also discussed the challenges of effective implementation of guidance and counseling in promoting quality inclusive education, including lack of access, facilities, materials, and staff strength. The principal of the Government Bilingual Technical High School appreciated the regional delegate's choice of his school and emphasized the importance of guidance and counseling in addressing social and emotional issues. As the new academic year begins, stakeholders in the education sector are hopeful that the government will continue to prioritize inclusive education and provide the necessary support to ensure that all students, including those with special needs, receive quality education in a safe and healthy environment.
On October 20, the world observed the World Statistics Day, and on this occasion, the National Institute of Statistics is focusing on disseminating quality data for all. Mimi Chebo met with a statistician and has this to say.
The commemoration of World Statistics Day is celebrated every year on October 20 to highlight the crucial role that reliable data plays in global progress. Statistics have been foundational in addressing worldwide challenges such as peacemaking, sustainable development, climate change, and public health. Reliable data underpins effective policy making, economic planning, and societal development, especially in today's complex world. Statistical systems foster transparency and the ethical use of data, while collaboration across countries and amongst experts promote innovation and best practices. We want to remind you that the statistics system does not work individually. The statistics system works for the control and good formation of public politics and for their good surveillance and evaluation. Without the surveillance, we will never know if we are moving forward. Without a good formation of public policies, effectively, policy will be irony. Guided by this year's theme, driving change with quality statistics and data for everyone, the importance of reliable data as a foundation for sound policies and sustainable development is emphasized. With the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, some wonder about the future of statistician profession. However, far from being threatening daily habits and practices, the artificial intelligence is not human, and I told you, with ethics, there is no official statistics because the machine can help you to produce all what you want. But now, man needs to direct the machines to produce what is useful for the surveillance of public policies. As the world navigates complex digital transformation with all its pros and cons, quality statistic data remains questionable. While artificial intelligence may reshape the statistician role, it underscores the profession's adaptability and importance in shaping a better future.
Away from that, Vanessa Ndingole and Jude Kenji sealed their union in both traditional and civil marriage ceremonies held in Boya over the weekend. The event, blessed by their families, marked October 17, 2025 as a memorable day of love to the couple. Patient Shintum tells us more.
This is what I report for one today, that my blessings, my symbol of blessing and peace. Okay. And bless you now, this marriage, do not union.
It is with the blessing of their family heads
The CPDM Party House of the Yaoundé 3 municipality served as venue for an important work session this October 21. The meeting, which aimed at uniting persons to advocate for peace, was chaired by the head of the Permanent Divisional Delegation of CPDM Central Committee, Professor Laurent Serge Etundingwa. Details in this report.
Days before the declaration of the next president of Cameroon, rising tension has caused violence. Insurgent and illegal declarations have been recorded in some parts of the country. Due to this, the Minister of Basic Education, head of the permanent delegation of CPDM for Fundi, Professor Laurent Serge Etundingwa, called for a workshop meeting with political leaders of Fundi to denounce the violence act seen in some parts of the country, particularly in Yaoundé.
The election held a few days ago, and we arrived at the point in which you hear about calls on violence and so on and so forth. We just want to say that Mfundi people are peaceful people. They have welcomed all their brothers and sisters from the 10 regions of our country, and they did it long ago. We are continuing living here peacefully.
In the presence of Philippe Balgaboa, Minister in charge of Special Duties, President of the CPDM Campaign Commission for Fundi 3, and political actors who shared a passionate plea for peace and stability in the capital city.
The meeting was to renew this call for peace, so that those who are here, those who come, go back to their home and tell those who were not here that we need peace. Election is over. We are waiting for the results.
The meeting underscores the importance of maintaining peace and stability, and also encourage all stakeholders to work towards harmonious process during this post-electoral period.
Promoting peace and unity stands at the heart of President Paul Biya's vision for a peaceful and progressive Cameroon. This was among the key messages echoed by CPDM authorities in the Mefu and Afamba division to party militants in the Soa subdivision. Phillips Enchi tells us more.
On October 20th, 2025, at the boardroom of the Soa Council in the Mefu and Afamba Division Center region, militants of the Cameroon's People Democratic Movement (CPDM) reiterates their dedication to sustaining peace and fostering coexistence within the Soa subdivision. The gathering, chaired by the president of the Divisional Campaign Commission, Luke Magrambaga Tangana, comes amid attempts by certain political party leaders to incite unrest following the recently concluded presidential election, with some claiming victory despite pending official results. During the third phase of the presidential election, the Divisional Campaign Commission president calls on party authorities to mobilize militants and sensitize the population on the imperative of peace and harmonious coexistence before, during and after the announcement of the election results. This initiative involves a door-to-door sensitization campaign emphasizing avoidance of any form of stigmatization. Soa, a melting pot of Cameroonians from diverse backgrounds, including transporters, businessmen and women, underscores that peace and living together remains the singular message to be conveyed throughout this period.
Soa is one of the subdivision of Mefu Afamba division. So the message is clear, message of peace, message of unity, message of union, message of the living, the living together as prescribed by the head of state, our head of state, as advocated by His Excellency Paul Biya.
Promoting peace and harmonious coexistence remains one of President Paul Biya's core objectives to ensuring the nation's stability and continued growth.
We need to live in peace. We need to live in confidence between Cameroonians, because we are the same citizen of the same country. There is no division.
As the meeting unfolds, the divisional officer in the subdivision, in collaboration with local authorities, reaffirmed the administration's commitment to maintaining peace and order. We have taken all the necessary measures to maintaining peace and security in the subdivision. I am calling on the population of Soa to be vigilant and should not hesitate to dispose of any information considered detrimental to our peace and security. It is on these information that we will be able to take good decisions so as to maintain peace and security in Soa. The promotion of peace and social cohesion is now a top priority for traditional authorities and community leaders in Soa. Traditional rulers in Soa, as you just heard, are working in close collaboration with the various administrative units, and we will not allow our community witness the situation that prevailed in Chang, here in Soa. We are not going to accept what happened in Chang to manifest itself here. I want to reassure you all that you can count on us, people from the West regions. We will continue with the door-to-door sensitization so that our people residing here in Soa will not be subjected to the same scenario in the West region. Before, during, and after the proclamation of the presidential election results, you can all count on us, people from the Western regions. As Cameroonians await the results of the presidential election in the coming days, upholding Republican values while jealously promoting peace and national unity remains a collective obligation.
And just days before the Constitutional Council is expected to proclaim the result of the 2025 presidential election, two opposition parties, that is the SDF and the PCRN, have unexpectedly withdrawn their petitions challenging the polls. In the following analysis, Patience Shintum tries finding out what could have prompted their actions.
In a surprising twist, just days before the presidential election results are set to be announced, two major opposition parties, the Social Democratic Front (SDF) and the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation (PCRN), have abruptly withdrawn their petitions challenging the October vote. The move have sent shockwaves through political cycles and stirred intense public debate. Both parties had initially raised alarms about alleged electoral malpractices and irregularities across the country. Their complaints were seen as a critical test of the nation's post-election legal system, a measure of how far opposition voices could go in demanding accountability. Now, their sudden withdrawal leaves many observers and citizens questioning the motives behind the decision. Analysts suggest the parties may have concluded that pursuing their cases before the Constitutional Council, widely viewed as closely aligned with the ruling establishment, would be futile. For some, stepping back could be a way to avoid what they see as predetermined outcome. Others point to political pragmatism as a possible factor. The SDF and PCRN may be seeking to preserve opportunities for dialogue or future alliances in Cameroon's complex political landscape. There are also whispers of behind-the-scenes negotiations aimed at maintaining stability and preventing post-election tensions. As the nation awaits the Constitutional Council's verdict, questions loom large. Is this a strategic retreat, a calculated compromise, or a quiet acknowledgement of defeat within an inflexible system? The answers for now remain elusive.
And that was what we packaged for you for tonight's edition of our news. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for watching, and stay in the